I'm Sally Mills of Lavolta and Lavolta Principles, and welcome to Digital Bullets 2010. We've asked some industry experts to share their thoughts on issues and developments in the digital industry. We've given each person 20 seconds to answer those questions, or else they get the chop. So we'll be broadcasting a sizzling digital bullet on a regular basis. One question answered with many different points of view. Hope you enjoy. Everyone these days seems to be a social media expert. Is social media genuinely a development that has fundamentally changed the way brands must engage with consumers, or is it just a minor nuance in the digital story? What do you see as being the big developments in social media in the next year or two? Should brands be really hyperventilating if they haven't got a social media strategy? Or is that a lot of hype from so-called experts with a vested interest in selling brands their services?
I do think that social media is a really important part of a brand's campaign, and particularly when you look at social media being a critical part of what we call intention marketing, where you bring in the elements of paid, earned and owned media. It's a really critical part of how a brand will then communicate with their audience.
Look, I think we've seen a staggering shift in consumer behaviour as a result of digital, mobile and social technologies. So definitely, I believe brands and agencies need to be well equipped in understanding social media and having a social media strategy.
I think really the future in social media is in trusted economies and trusted networks. So, for example, brands partnering with influencers or ambassadors to distribute their content for them, as opposed to social media being simply a point of connection where we can have a conversation with someone. I think we need to take it to the next level and actually partner with people who have trusted networks and audiences.
Social networks aren't part of the change. Social networks are the change. The fact that today everyone is connected with each other all the time and in real time is changing the world. One-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many, that's a gigantic change. So marketers today don't need a special social network strategy. They need new marketing strategies to operate in the new world.
It's strange that there are many experts out suddenly arriving on the scene talking about social media as a new channel for marketing. And of course, all the advertising agencies have suddenly jumped on the bandwagon hiring social media experts. But at the end of the day, it just seems to me like an extension of PR.
I think that social media should be seen as a tool, one tool in a vast array of tools available to marketing and communications professionals. It's one pillar of possibly a pillar of a digital media strategy. It's not the only pillar. My favourite phrase is Twitter is not a strategy.
This is not a fad. People talking to each other and connecting and listening and sharing isn't going away because the platform is there to do it easy, simple, and people want to partake in it. And if you're an Australian company, Australians are the biggest users of social media. So if you want to sort of think it's going to go away and put your head in the sand, go and join the internet Luddites that were doing the same thing back in the early 90s.
Certainly social media enables you to interact with your customer in a different fashion, but it's about you interacting with your customer, and pulling someone else to do that on your behalf kind of reduces the authenticity and opens up more risk to the brand. So I think, and also having someone represent your brand and 15 others every morning, it's a bit of an oxymoron to me. So I think it's about the brand's relationship with the customer, not necessarily employing someone else to be social on your behalf.
So while I do think it's overhyped, you can't ignore it. There's just too many people involved. I think that the big changes in the next couple of years will just be our own understanding of both what people are doing, but also their willingness to interact with brands and just how far they're willing to let advertisers go in terms of sort of not interfering, but being part of their social networking experience without ruining or still getting the message across. So I still think it's very early days, but I don't think anybody should be ignoring it. But equally, they don't need to rush out and do absolutely everything now.
It's very hard to find people in Australia who have more than just theoretical experience with social media, people who have practical experience working with big brands and social media. They're just almost impossible to find.
I think social media is already a nuance. I'm so sick of hearing people quote from the Clue Train manifesto like it was written yesterday and it's probably 10 years old. The notion that people want conversations with brands. It's completely ludicrous. People want to buy things from brands, and marketing is all about understanding who your customer is and what you need to tell them to buy your product. And you can't move away from that fundamental regardless of whether you're using social media or not using social media.
Should it be something that traditional marketing people have to understand and utilise? Yes. Should they be hyperventilating? No. It is another channel to market. They need to understand that channel, they need to understand the audience in that channel, and they need to find a way to put their product in front of that audience.
The whole premise around social media is that it's about a dialogue and a relationship, and it's making sure that the content or the dialogue you are having with consumers is relevant, and if it's not relevant, then yes, clients should start to hyperventilate that they don't have something there.
While there's a lot of wank around it, it's a real-time opportunity for people to get involved. For instance, Facebook in the States has now taken over Google as where people spend more time. People like spending time on these platforms. Call it social media, call it what you will. Facebook and Twitter may be irrelevant in 3 to 4 years' time, but I think the mechanisms that people use won't be. It's been a cultural shift that we've seen in how we use computing and how we use digital, and I think advertisers need to be aware of that.
I think there is a lot of hype, but I also think there's a genuine benefit for brands to engage in social media. For the first time, brands are being able to see how they're being talked about in what effectively are pub conversations. You know, the conversations I have with my friends on Facebook would be the ones I have at a pub. So if brands can tap into that in a genuine way, they should be able to do a couple of things. One is obviously connect more closely with their consumers, but also work out where they're falling down.
Social media and social networking is here to stay. I think it's crucial for many brands to have a strategy. It's not crucial for every brand to have a strategy, and it really irks me when a large part of our industry, who makes money from advising on this particular topic, suggests that we all need a strategy.